Hi guys, this is gsndon.com and I'm here with the Huawei Honor 8 for a full review. We've already unboxed the device and reviewed quite a few Huawei phones this year, including the Nova, Nova Plus, P9, P9 Plus, P9 Lite, the Honor 7 and so forth, so quite a lot of Huawei phones. This Huawei Honor 8 takes things to the next level because it adopts a glass back panel and also glass at the front and a metal frame. It was launched this summer, the Honor 8, and you can find it on Amazon price at around $400 at the starting price of the 32GB unit. There's also a 64GB model which we actually have here. Now the smartphone can be found in white, black, blue or gold, and as far as the design is concerned, well, we're dealing with dual 2.5D glass panels, one at the front and one at the back. Between them there is a metal frame with rounded edges, and this phone measures 7.45mm in thickness and weighs 153 grams. This means it's a bit thicker than the Huawei P9 7mm and it's about 9 grams heavier. It's also about 9 grams or so heavier than the Asus Zenfone 3, the 5.2-inch version, but it's also a bit slimmer, so that's an advantage. It feels excellent when you keep it in your hand. It's excellent for gaming, it's excellent for one-hand usage, and all the buttons have very solid feedback, those here and the little extra button here also with its very own excellent feedback. Now other things here, we have very narrow bezels and the phone looks simply gorgeous. And in spite of that, in spite of all that praise, it remains a bit of a fingerprint magnet at the back, with grease, prints and all of that sticking to the back. It reminds me of the days of the Xperia Z5 that had a special version that catches the light in a similar way as this one. Anyway, solid build, premium design, nice looking and possibly the best looking Huawei phone I have ever tested. Certainly better looking than the Huawei Nova, for example. Now, display wise, what we're dealing with here is a 5.2-inch IPS LCD Full HD panel with the LTPS technology, and let's play some video and put this screen to the test. Okay, so here we are with some regular options like playback speed and DTS acoustics. Now, as far as the actual screen experience goes, it's quite a bright display with an okay contrast, wide view angles, but as you can see for yourself, the colors are a bit too vivid for basically anyone's taste. Now we go to the gallery and see how we've done in all of our usual tests, and we start off with the pixel setup, which is the typical RGB stripes pixel setup under the microscope, and then we measure the brightness, which is 420 lux units. It's good, but it doesn't break any records. At least it beats the iPhone 7 Plus by 2 lux units and the Huawei Nova Plus, but it scores below the iPhone SE and the Huawei Honor 5X. As usual, we have quite a few settings when it comes to the screen, and here we go. We got the wallpaper, font size, brightness, color temperature. You can pick from this circle or simply select warm or cold. And then we have sleep, auto rotate and eye comfort. If you want to eliminate the shade of blue that affects your sleep, you can make the screen yellowish and get rid of the melatonin problems. Now the screen is solid, it's bright, but the colors could have been calibrated better. Luckily we have the settings for that. Now we move further to other aspects, like first the CPU. So it's an octa-core 2.3 GHz chip. It's the Kirin 950, which we also saw on the Huawei Mate 8 and the Huawei MediaPad M3 tablet, and it's accompanied by 3 or 4 GB of RAM depending on the version of the Honor 8 you bought. It also has a Mali T880 MP4 GPU and 32 or 64 GB of storage plus micro SD. There's no lag here, the UI is quite fluid and you can open up any app you want. You'll have no problem, it will run instantly and not face any sort of lag, which is always a nice thing. Games also run pretty nicely. We even played the recently launched Gear Club, which is a car racing game, has high-end graphics, and it's newer than this one here, but this one is our usual benchmark game, so that's why we're taking it for a spin. It's a Riptide GP Renegade. You can tweak the graphics all the way to the max, and you'll see that the water looks in an excellent fashion here. All the textures are shown okay. There is no frame rate drop, everything is perfect and the stunts look amazing. Okay, now that the gaming checks out, we also check out the benchmarks because we also did those, so let's have a look. Okay, so we did the typical suspects. We got Quadrant and Antutu here. Let me just find Quadrant and then we can discuss Antutu and the other ones. So in Quadrant we scored an excellent result, which places us above the Huawei P9 Plus and the P9. Meanwhile, in Antutu 6, let's see the score there. So in Antutu 6, a very solid score. We beat the Huawei Nexus 6P but scored below the Huawei Mate 8, and throughout the benchmarks we were somewhere between the Nexus 6P and the Mate 8, surpassing the P9 models every once in a while. We also did a Geekbench 4 test. It's this one here. Very solid scores, both of them. The single core test beats the Zenfone 3 Deluxe and the multi-core one beats the Google Pixel XL, so overall great performance. We did not forget about the temperature. Usually temperature gets a bit high when the device performs highly, and here it's not exactly the case. So after running the benchmark GFX bench, we reached up to let's see, 38.6 degrees Celsius after GFX bench, and after running a game you saw before, Riptide GP Renegade, 36.8 degrees Celsius. So on paper, following the test, no overheating, but in my own test, after playing Gear Club for a while, things got a bit hot, especially the frame of the phone gets uncomfortably hot, so don't only judge by the thermometer, judge for yourself. And now it's time to discuss the battery. This phone has a rather typical 3000 mAh unit with Smart Power 4.0 technology, and it promises to give you 10 hours of video playback if the internet is off. It also has fast charging, 9 volts and 2 amperes, and let's see our own results. Okay, so first of all we had the continuous HD video playback in a loop test, which is a bit underwhelming at 7 hours and 40 minutes. At least it beats the Huawei Honor 7, the predecessor, by 5 minutes, and also beats the underwhelming Huawei P9. Still, we scored below the Huawei Nova by 3 hours and below the P9 Plus also by around 3 hours. Things get marginally better in PC Mark, where we scored 7 hours and 7 minutes. It's about on par with the Galaxy S6, not bad. At least it beats the Huawei G8 and Huawei Honor 5X, and scores below the Huawei Nova by 2 hours and the Huawei Mate 8 by 2 hours again. The charging is, I would say, reasonable, 1 hour and 44 minutes, which is better than the Galaxy S7 but worse than the Nexus 6P. Huawei has kept intact the power options, which are as usual hidden, maybe too well, one would say. So we got battery manager, we got this keep Wi-Fi on during sleep, close excessively intensive apps, and the main power plan options: performance, smart and ultra power saving, which only keeps the basic features. Then we have the ROG power saving, which only lowers the screen resolution to 720p, so you can save some juice. There's also one touch optimization. So overall a mixed battery, reasonable PC Mark, but video playback should have been better. Time to discuss the acoustics. So there's a 7-hole speaker at the bottom, and DTS acoustics are also available here, courtesy of the music player, which as usual has no equalizer, and we don't have bundle headphones with our test unit, so forget about that. Now let's actually listen to some tunes like this one. Okay, so conclusions, we achieved here a pretty loud sound, that's also clear. The strings are particularly well heard, as well as the high notes and the voices, but we could have used more bass. Luckily, no distortion, and now we proceed to the decibel meter test, and we achieved 86.1 decibels when the test item was subjected to the Riptide GP Renegade game. This is a solid result. When subjected to our usual audio sample, 81.3 decibels, the biggest result matters. So it beats the Huawei Honor 7 by about 5 decibels and the Nexus 6P as well, so that's good, but still below the record breakers like the OnePlus One or the Li Echo Li Max 2 phone. There's no FM radio here and no special tweaks, so that's all about the acoustics. Time to address the dual camera setup at the back. So two cameras here. These are both 12 megapixel shooters, one color, one monochrome. There's a laser focus and dual tone flash, while at the front 8 megapixel shooter for the selfies. Now the camera app starts up pretty fast, and if you've seen our review of the Huawei P9 Lite, well, it's identical, of course, plus this bokeh thingy, so you can change the point of focus, and you can also do that after taking the shot. Okay, so except from that, it's the identical same interface with the same modes: beauty video, HDR, time-lapse, pro photo and pro video, light painting and so forth. And here we have the main options. You can see them all here, and keep in mind that if you want to film, you'll only be filming in full HD up to 60 frames per second. So that's the camera in a nutshell. If you want to talk about the actual experience: fast picture taking, fast focus change, although I have to admit I've seen faster on other devices, and fluid zooming. Okay, we're done with the camera UI. Time to discuss the gallery. As usual, we have quite a few shots here, so let's get to that. I'm going to start off with those taken during the daytime. Keep in mind it was a cloudy day in the middle of December, so that should matter. In the end, we have great colors, good clarity, no blur, and we even registered some nice close-ups and some selfies. The HDR is pretty solid, but it tends to darken the shots a bit, at least some of them. So here you can see some pictures of toys, well calibrated colors, good clarity, nothing to complain about, and nice close-ups and textures. Now I promised you some selfies, so here we go. Okay hair texture, okay skin texture, a bit artificial, but the beauty mode was on. The background is more blurred, and I have to say it's inferior to the Huawei Nova that's frankly focused on selfies, so it was expected that it would be better. Now this is the mode where we get to play with the aperture thingy. You can change the focus, make things clearer or less clear in the distance or in close-up, and that's what the two cameras are about. That's why we actually have two cameras instead of one. Some may call it a gimmick, while some may really love this blurred effect. And you can actually change the level of blur by using that slider. Okay, so this is a landscape shot. We also took landscape shots with pretty solid details for a relatively low resolution camera, and we proceeded to also do a panorama, which is solid at 13,184 pixels over 2304 pixels. It's clear, it's crisp, it does not curve very much, so it's well done for a panorama. Now let's see other shots. Once again, we played with the depth of field, bokeh effects, lots of toys, nice color, textures and clarity. Not one missed or blurred shot, which is a plus for the phone. So I put this on par with the Asus Zenfone 3 models, also with the Huawei Nova handsets. It feels slightly below the Huawei P9 that had some extra gimmicks, and also a bit, just a bit below the Huawei Nexus 6P. Of course, it's an upgrade from the Huawei Honor 7 that had some dynamic range problems, so those are a thing of the past. Now it's time to check out some low light samples, because we also have those, and I have to say they're quite nice looking. Okay, so let's get to them. These low light samples include images from a fair, and fair means some booths with food and people, and those booths are well lit. So that's good circumstances for the camera. Excellent texture, color, detail, everything you want. Well, when the subjects are moving, there's the odd foggy shot. But in the end, let's go to the main square and see how the lights, the Christmas lights, are handled. I have to say that the low light capture is quite solid on this phone. It's not exactly top 5 or maybe not even top 10, but it can handle its low light captures quite solidly. Okay, and the ultimate test is in an empty square with yellow lighting. So the flash made the shots a bit too white, but the capture was in general pretty good. We did not register any violet or blue hues, decent street light halos, and every once in a while we did get a blurry shot, but nothing really major. I would have to say we are below the Huawei Mate 8, which was a landmark for a long time, and we're at the level of the Zenfone 3 and Huawei Nova, and also the Galaxy A 2016 models during the night time. We're totally done now with the photos, and it's time to address the videos. You can shoot full HD videos, and let's actually go here because it's simpler. So One of the videos goes like this, Full HD, 30 frames per second, MP4, with a bitrate of 17 mega per second, and when you switch to 60 frames per second, it's 35 mega per second. There is an okay exposure change, poor zoom in quality, the image is a bit shaky, the microphone is actually very good, and that's where you lose quality when you zoom in, but the colors are pretty nice. Stabilization is, I would say, so-so. I've seen worse, and I've also seen better. Keep in mind it's digital stabilization, so there's that. In the end, the filming is below the Nexus 6P and slightly above the Huawei Honor 7, just mid-level, doesn't break any records, and here you have another video. This is the 60 frames per second one, feeling a bit cinematic, but I'm not happy with the exposure change. Anyway, you'll see those in the full text review. Time to go to the low light video capture. Okay, so things get disappointing here. You'll see that in this clip. Very foggy, very blurry, flickering a bit, so I'm disappointed by this. It's a bit underwhelming, and if you look at the Huawei Honor 7 samples, it's not a big upgrade, so we can forget about proper filming during the nighttime, although we can get some nice samples if the lighting is proper. We're done with the camera. In the end, not far from what the Asus Zenfone 3 and the Huawei Nova are offering, but also not very impressive in the low light filming area. The pre-installed browser here is Chrome, so let's put it to work and load up gsmdown.com. This instance of Chrome on this instance of device is very fast, which is confirmed by the SamSpider benchmark and by the actual usage. Input is done via this keyboard with its big keys and its swipe-like thingy, and now we get to the connectivity. So we're treated to an USB Type-C port at the bottom, and then we go further and we discover that this is a dual SIM model, and one of the SIMs can also be used with the microSD card slot. We have 4G LTE here of the category 6 kind, NFC, there's also infrared here at the top with an emitter, OTG, Bluetooth 4.2 and VO LTE if the carrier supports it. We also have dual microphone noise reduction, Wi-Fi A, B, G, and AC, GPS and GLONASS, and infrared is applied for over 232K appliances. As far as the calls are concerned, you get the usual features like harassment filter, speed dial and pocket mode. The calls are loud and clear, pretty crisp, and the signal is quite good. We also did a speed test, and let's see what came out of that experience. So here we are, these are the values achieved on speed test. Up to 220 mega per second download speed on Wi-Fi, which is very solid, 24 mega per second upload, and in 4G 84 and 47 respectively, which I expected them to be only a bit higher. Now the software experience is exactly like I said before, so if you watched our review of the Huawei P9 Lite, exactly the same experience for the camera UI, exactly the same experience for the whole software. Android Marshmallow with EMUI 4.1 on top. Flat interface, no gloss, no app drawer, and not many colors. Multitasking, horizontally scrolling list of thumbnails, which can be closed, the apps I mean, like this. Okay, swipe down on the home screen to start looking for stuff. Swipe down from the bar to see the timeline of notifications and the quick settings. And then if you pinch the screen or keep it pressed, you can play with wallpapers, widgets, transitions, and more settings related to layout and other such things. These are the widgets, some of them stock, some of them typical for Huawei, and now it's time to check out the settings. So, connectivity options, home screen style, standard or simple, display, sound, users, fingerprint ID, smart assistance with navigation bar, floating dock, smart key, which is actually the button here at the back. It's a physical button, can be pressed with various purposes, which can actually be tweaked here. A press does these things: voice recording, torch or screenshot, or opens an app, very simple. Double press and press and hold can do those things. Motion control available here, as well as the knuckle thing. So let's see if it works. The knuckle thing, here we go. Screenshots, smart screenshots and all that, still available after quite a while. Now let's go back to the settings, because we have to check out the fingerprint scanner. Now you can use the fingerprint scanner to take a photo, video, answer a call, browse photos, or simply unlock your device. You can secure it with a pin. It has a very fast 7-step setup, and you can enroll it like this. I'm pressing right now. And that was a very fast setup, so time to put it to the test. Here we go. I would say it's reasonably fast, but I may have seen faster on other devices. Anyways, it's accurate at least. When it comes to the applications, I've counted 48 of them, which is quite a few. These are from Google, cannot be uninstalled, and these are the games which luckily can be uninstalled. Also, social networking apps can be uninstalled as well. In total, you can uninstall only 8 out of the 48, still leaves you with a lot of bloatware. The apps are the usual themes with some customization options. And then there's Phone Manager, which can come in handy for a performance boost. We got high care and we got health to monitor your steps and other thingies here, and you can set up your calorie consumption. Anyway, this is the end of the review of the Huawei Honor 8, so I guess it's time for the verdict. On the Pro side, we have a pretty design, an okay display, good performance and acoustics, nice pictures for a mid-ranger, and the extra button comes in handy. Also good connectivity and nice fingerprint scanner. Now on the cons side, well, the device is a bit of a fingerprint magnet. The edges get a bit hot during long gaming sessions. The battery should and could be better, especially when it comes to the video playback. We have lots of pre-installed apps, the dual camera feels like a gimmick, and the jump, keep in mind, the jump from the solid camera of the Huawei Honor 6 Plus with its dual camera, it's not a huge jump as one would expect. Still, people who love glass on their smartphones will love the design, the features, the power, and the pretty okay camera in the end, but the dual thingy is a gimmick. It does not take the selfies of the Huawei Nova, and it remains an upgrade in aesthetic fashion from the Huawei Honor 7, and also the camera feels a bump, but other than that, it's basically a media phone for music, video, some pictures, and a very solid microphone when filming. So that's the Huawei Honor 8 in a nutshell. Keep everything in mind if you're doing some holiday shopping. Bye bye.